Alrighty, this is Tim Bryce. The clock on my cell phone says 1 p.m. Mountain Time, so that's 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I think a few more people will trickle in here. Today we're going to be talking about resources for your next great social media post. I like the title. I like the attitude of the title, that we all should be putting out great social media posts. We got Todd Foisey and Dustin Jordan from NWS Caribou going to be talking about some of the resources that, sometimes you need ideas or you need a good map, background, or something like that. They're going to have some great ideas. Also going to touch briefly on what looks good in a post and what kind of different stylish things that we can do to make our graphics and things stand out a little bit more. Remember, during the presentation, if you have a question or you want to continue the conversation, you can use the pound NWS Think Social hashtag on Twitter. I'll be monitoring Hootsuite, and we usually have a nice conversation going on there, kind of behind the scenes. Looking at some upcoming social media training, we'll get the next slide rolling in here. We got next week, the WCN tag team duo of Rick Smith and Mark Fox. They're going to do, we're going to rename that from social media postmortem to social media debrief. They're going to talk about how they staff and handle and communicate during high-profile severe weather events. Then we're going to do that'll be next. I didn't realize. Wow, remember to put us on hold. Also, remember, we're going to be on July 2nd, we'll have a social media account security with Joe from Goodman, Kansas. Then we got a couple other ones scheduled. Let me see what they are real quick. We have on July 9th, Corey Feature is going to do a presentation on when to post. When's a good time? Is the weekend good? Is it 3 o'clock in the morning a bad time to post? On July 16th, I think for some of our coastal offices, they'll find this interesting. We're going to do a presentation on tropical weather and social media. And then, like it says there on the page, July 23rd, social media at the small market WFO. And that'll be Tanya Francine and Kristen Scott will be covering that. So for all the latest on the training, you can go to the Think Social sites page. There's the address there on the screen, or the shortened one. You can see the upcoming training calendar. You can listen or view past trainings that we've done, because we've done a whole bunch now. Or I'm always looking for new training ideas or thoughts, so feel free to add them in there. We are recording this, so fingers crossed it'll work. And once the video is set, I will link to it. Also, Todd and Dustin have provided me with a presentation, so later on this evening when I get to work and get on shift, I will post all the links that we have, and you can share that out with your staff. And now, without further ado, I turn things over to Mr. Todd and Mr. Dustin for their presentation on resources for your next great social media post.
All right, this is Todd. I'm going to be starting out. And first I'm going to talk about where on the web you can go to find cool graphics to post that are also pretty much ready to go on Facebook, don't require too much work. Then Dustin's going to take over and talk about using PowerPoint to make your social media graphics pop, make them a little jazzier. And then it's going to go back to me, Todd, and I'm going to talk about really quickly about how to easily make some animations for posting to social media. So let's get right into it. First off, I know a lot of you probably like to use AWIPS graphics for social media because that's what we're familiar with. So yes, you can post graphics onto social media from AWIPS, but there's a couple reasons why AWIPS graphics are probably not the best thing to post. For one, usually, unless you're really good at your color scales and line density and everything, usually these graphics are too complicated for the public to understand. Another reason, number two, the public can't access the data which was used to create the post. And number 3, there's that extra annoying step, but necessary step of transferring the image from the AWIP to the PC. And I know a lot of offices have this streamlined, but still, it's a little extra step and it takes a little more time. But just as a reminder, if you do decide to use AWIP's graphics for a post, almost always it's better to annotate the graphics a little bit in PowerPoint before posting. And Dustin will be discussing annotation a little bit more later. And also, I know a lot of you around the country have GraphiCast to make social media graphics, but here in Eastern region, we don't do those GraphiCasts, so pretty much all of our graphics are done with coupled web graphics and PowerPoint.
Most of the Northeast, we're in such strong South.
Hey, Todd, I hate to interrupt you. There's still a couple people out there that have their phones unmuted. If you could please just double-check that. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so there's many websites out there that have post-ready or near post-ready graphics for social media, and I'm just going to touch on a few of our favorites. There's a little bit longer list at the end of the presentation, but these are just a few of our favorites. And also, third bullet here, since I was in Alaska before I came to Maine, sincere apologies if some of these websites may not work outside the CONUS. I guess that's just how the world is. How our country is CONUS-centric. But some of these websites are CONUS only. Some of them do work in places like Alaska, Hawaii, etc. So let's get right into it. This is my personal favorite website, NOHRSC, the National Operational Hydrologic Remote Sensing Center. And it's my favorite because it's talking about snow. There's a lot of snow graphics on this website. This is just an example for snow depth for back on March 1st, 18Z. Of course, before you're going to put it on Facebook, you may want to make a little bit clearer title, which Dustin will go into. But in general, you can see this is a pretty Facebook-ready graphic here. You can see pretty clearly where there's more snow, the pinks and the purples up here in northern Maine. And here's even a little, nice legend over here at the right showing what the different colors mean. So, a nice social media-ready graphic there for you already on the web. And just a recap of kind of what you can find on the NOHRSC or No Risk website. You can find a lot of other sort of snow-related parameters like SWE, snow water equivalent, new snow, snow melt, and a bunch more. And these are not only available for today, but for also several years back. So I noticed something a lot of offices do that's kind of a fun post that gets people going is you can look at the snow depth for this year compared to last year on this date. And that, that may not be applicable for you down in the far south. But, in the North Country, that's a pretty neat thing to look at, how you're doing with, snow on the ground compared to last year. And also the graphics on this website are pretty customizable. You can, change color scales a little bit, add rows, add counties, add some different layers and so on. So, when you get some time, go to this website and explore around. I think you'll like what you find, especially if you live in areas that, receive a little bit more snow. And of course, as Tim mentioned at the beginning, this presentation will be on the Google site. So if you don't copy these links down right now, they will be available for you to grab later. Another website that I like to use occasionally is the NMQ, the National Mosaic and Multi-Sensor QPE site. And I know a lot of you probably use this as well, but it has some, pretty nice, fairly close to ready social media graphics. Like, for example, here's a 24-hour precipitation total estimation for New England from 12Z on the 2nd to the 3rd, and again, you would probably want to add a title and annotate this a little bit, but in general, you can clearly see where some of the heavier precipitation fell, especially up here in northern and western Maine, where some totals, as you can see in the legend here, top 3 inches. So, it's a pretty nice ready graphic, and there's many other precipitation-related graphics on this website, and it's really worth going around and exploring if you haven't already. And also, like the NOHRSC site, you can go back in the past and, look at some historical, some data from the past. You can't go that far back, but you can look, back, I think, a couple of years, if I remember right. There are some useful tutorials on the website to get used to what's there, because there is a lot. And also, just a side note, If you all haven't used this, it's also a really neat website to diagnose whether legacy or dual pole is performing better versus your gauges for a certain system. So just a non-social media use for this website, although I guess that might be something that the public might be interested in as well. Another website that covers precipitation, but it's on a little bit longer time scale than the NMQ website, is the AHAP precipitation website, water.weather.gov/precip. And here's just an example from today of the last 30 days observed precipitation. Yeah, we got Puerto Rico there, but no Alaska. But we'll take what we can get. But you can see pretty clearly precipitation totals throughout the CONUS. You can see some areas, topping 10 inches. But not only is there observed precipitation on this website, but there's things like precipitation departure, where this is actually the 30-day percent of normal precipitation, and you can pretty clearly see where some of the really wet areas are compared to average for the last month, up in parts of New England and also over in Montana and in the Dakotas. It's been really, really wet, with precipitation running, as you can see, over 200% of normal in a lot of areas, and even up to around 600% of normal in Montana. So, these are graphics that I think the public really eats up, especially if you just do some really simple annotation, as Dustin will cover, and, quick little description. I mean, this is some really nice stuff that you didn't really have to, do much to be able to use on Facebook or Twitter. It's already ready for you. So just a recap of some of the things that you'll find on the AHAP website. Precipitation data, observed normal, departure from normal, percent of normal, and available for multiple time ranges, like today, the last 7, 14, and on up to 180 days, month to date, year to date, water year to date. You can mix it up a lot of different ways. And it's archived both daily and monthly back to 2005, or, well, I guess most people would call that 2005. I don't know why I said 2005. But anyway, the maps are also very similar to what you would find at this High Plain Regional Climate Center website, which actually covers the whole country. This website also has some very similar graphics that show precipitation observed and departure from normal for a lot of different time ranges. So both of these websites are really good places to go for precipitation on the scale of weeks or months and how it compares to normal. And one other place that we like to really use here in Caribou, and I notice more and more offices are beginning to use it, is some kind of homemade GIS graphics that the wonderful folks at the Burlington office have been doing. And I will mention right off the bat that this link here, please keep this internal for now. These are still under development by the Burlington office, and although you can get to this website from home, we aren't giving this link out to the public yet. But here's just an example of some of the different graphics that they are creating in-house there at Burlington for this is the CONUS scale, but you can get a lot of different scales that I'll show in a minute. But, there's different NDFD graphics like storm total, like 3-day QPF, 3-day maximum wind gust, which is something you can't necessarily get off the straight NDFD graphic, so it's actually calculating the maximum wind gust for the next 3 days, the maximum wave height, and so on, min and max temperature. And then I'll go on to the next page, and here's some more graphics. There's the SPC outlook, dew point temperatures, radar, even flight categories and cloud base, which I think they added fairly recently. But here, that was just the CONUS scale. As you can see here, when you go to this website, this is what you'll see, these different directories. So you might see your WFO in here, and there will be some WFO scale graphics. And if not, like click on the region, for example, in southern region, you could click on SR, and you'll see a lot of really nice regional GIS graphics that they've created at Burlington. And again, just a reminder, please don't post the webpage link, this erh.noaa.gov/btv/GIS to the public just yet. But this website does have some really good, ready-made graphics that I think are pretty nice looking that you can post on Facebook in a pinch. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dustin Jordan. He's going to talk about the wonderful enhanced data display.
All right, little chair swamp there, and I'll get started right into it. Like Todd said, we do have this enhanced data display, and it's being developed down in Charleston, West Virginia, in a pilot project. And it's a pretty awesome tool for social media posts. It's a GIS-centric type of system. So it's something like you would use Google Maps and those types of things. You're just adding layers, multiple layers of different types of whether it be precipitation maps or current stuff like radar and satellite. And so it's a one-stop shop, like it says on the screen there. There are all kinds of layers that you can add in there. I think it's a really great way to quickly add social media posts. It doesn't really take very long. I mean, you do have a little bit of extra work because you do have to bring it in PowerPoint, but most of the graphics are pretty ready to go with just a little bit of extra work. As you can see, this is just one of the graphics we made here in the office. And you'll notice that you can just, you can put icons on the screen, you can draw lines and all those things in PowerPoint. And also you can add more information, such as, I just said, hey, the state's divided today with, we had, nearly clear skies in the southern part of the state and almost, completely cloudy in the northern part of the state. So, you can make these spicy graphics up even more. This is just another example also of the EDD of how you can show where maybe precipitation's coming from. So you can use more like arrow graphics, or also you can add information in there like maybe a start time, like this example. And here I just wanted to show kind of what I'm going to go over. I'm going to actually do kind of a live demonstration of this, so you can see maybe how easy this is to really put together. One of the things that you'll see here is this is really plain. And so I say going from plain, just to show you that this is straight from the EDD. So this is what it would look like. And now this is just with a little bit of addition in PowerPoint. You can see now we have a nice legends area here. So you got an actual legend, so you know what the temperature scale is. You can also add more information and say it's cold in the Northwest. In this case, not a whole lot of difference in the Northwest, just a quick example. But you can also highlight an area really quickly too. So say there's a particular area you want to highlight, that can be done. Another graphic here, this is just a simple radar graphic, nothing special about it. And then if you go here, I added a scale. I added, the time in which the radar was actually a valid time for. And also, the arrow area that, you can highlight an area and say, hey, this is moving northeast, there's heavier rain, and you can mention that in your post.
I'm watching the movie in the morning.
So now I'm going to, I'm just going to kind of escape out of here and go into,
yeah, it is very addictive.
Just a reminder to mute your microphone, thanks.
Yeah, somebody just said, yeah, it is. So if that's you, mute your mic, please.
Okay, sorry about that. But anyway, this is what you'll come to. So hopefully you're seeing the internet right now. And you will see now that we actually have, this will pull it up, it'll come up to basically the CONUS scale. And I'm just going to use the tools here, and I'm not going to go over real deep into the EDD, so this may be something you guys want to just go play around with more after you get the address, if you don't already have the address, and just play around with it more. So I'm just going to do more of a Facebook post graphic here. But I'm going to zoom in on the Caribou area, because that's just, we had kind of some interesting low temperatures. I'm going to do similar to what I did on the previous graphic that you saw. Now I'm going to add, this allows us to add our gridded forecast database. And so we can go in there, we can get hazards, there's multiple things, of course, you can get in here. I'm going to use minimum temperatures. The slider bar will allow you to change the valid time, so I'm going to change it for tomorrow morning. And it will load in there here in a second. And so now you can see we have some cooler temperatures here in the northwestern part of our CWA. And so now you can see one problem that we have here, that we've noticed here, is that sometimes you can't really get the graphic where you want it to. And so one way that you can make your graphics a little bit bigger is simply by hitting F11. That will make a full screen. Most of you probably know that, but this makes the graphic catch our whole CWA down to the coastline. And so now, when you have it full screen, you're going to need to use the print screen function, and that will allow you to copy it, and then you'll put it into PowerPoint, and then you can actually crop it down to the size that you would want. And so I'm going to print screen, and then I'm going to simply drop out of F11. And I've already made this graphic up just so that I can drop it in here. And so I should be able to paste it in here. See, oh, nope, that did not work. All right. I think what it is we have multiple windows open. And so let me, may have to actually, what I'm going to do is, in this case, I'm going to, usually you would use F11 for that, but in this case, since we do have multiple screens up right now for ease and not going too far out of the way to get things moved around, I'm just going to simply bring it out. Now, I'm going to talk about another tool that we have in here that's in Windows 7 that most offices should have available. If you don't, you may want to ask your techs if they can put that in there, but there's a snipping tool option here. And so I was going to show this later, but I'll show it now for this purposes. We can actually take an area, and we can simply choose the area that we want. Say we just wanted this area. Now we actually have that copied, and now we can paste it right into PowerPoint. And so now you can see we actually have this, and we can make it a little bit smaller so it fits within the bounds of this, or you could obviously make it a little bit bigger if you needed to. You could make your title bar a little bit bigger. But anyway, that gives you an idea of how you can put that in. Now, one other thing that I wanted to note here about the EDD, there's obviously there are other layers that you can add to make this easier to read. So say you did want to have some street information, you can add that in there. And then you'll notice that now the numbers are actually underneath, so you can move layers around within the EDD. Like I said, I'm not going to go too far into the EDD, but these are things that you can do within the EDD. And then you can also add counties. So say you wanted the counties to be in there, that's something that you could add to make it easier for the public. So now I'm going to, now that I have my graphic actually in here, I'm going to actually make it. So let's go ahead and make the graphic pop. Let's go to, if you go to your format screen here at the top, you can actually adjust, you can do corrections to your graphic. Or you can simply go in here and right-click, and you can go to Format Picture, and that will do the same thing. We can up the contrast a little bit, usually maybe like around 18 or so. That will actually make this graphic come out a little bit better. We've noticed that they look a little bit crisper when you actually have it, kind of pop on the screen. And then also you can add things. So let's say we want to insert a title. Well, let's do that. So you simply go to the text box, and this will give you the screen for the text box. Most of you probably know how to do this, but just in case. So this is going to show the minimum temperature. We'll just say the low temperature. Put that in there, and then you can do things with this. So let's say you want this box to be a little more useful or a little bit better looking. There's some pre-made things in here that actually look pretty cool. And so you can go into, if you're in the drawing, if you're actually in the text box, there's this thing at the top, the bar that you can edit the text box in. You have these shape styles, and so you can change these shape styles however you would like. And so in this case, I'll use a blue. You can also add effects to this, such as a shadow. Maybe a shadow would make it look just a little bit better on the screen. Now, another thing that you say, okay, well, I've got that. I want to be able to tell what scale it is. Well, the EDD is nice in that it also gives you scales and legends as well. So here is the legend for this particular graphic. You can even cut this whole legend out if you wanted to. But in this case, I'm going to use the snipping tool again, and you can just hit New on the snipping tool. That will allow you to do a new graphic, and I'll just simply grab the scale that I want, and it's already copied once you actually do that, and then you can simply just paste it into your graphic. And so there's many different ways you could do this. You could obviously, you could change it to where this is up here, or, there's all kinds of different things you could do. And you could also do some special things to it. You can make it maybe have an effect as well. Maybe you want it to look maybe like that, give it a little bit more of a 3D-ish effect. And so that's one of the things you can do as well. Now, in this case, I'm going to show you also how to do the didn't realize it was that funny, but anyway, another thing that you can do is you can add shapes in here. You can also, if you go here, you can actually, you can choose this curve tool. This will allow you to actually put, you can put a curve in here, so you can highlight an area of interest. So maybe, and what I'm doing is I'm actually clicking, so I'm making these points as I go along, so you'll kind of see the screen probably flicker a little bit, and that's me just making the points, and I'm simply just highlighting this area where we think it's going to be cooler. And once I get to the end, you just double click, now you have an area highlighted. One of the things you'll notice is it is...
Hello, can you stop for a minute? If you press *5, the presenter hits *5, it'll mute everybody.
Okay.
Well, I think we're on a conference call that I'm the leader of. If we do that, we'll mute him as well.
Yeah, I apologize for that, guys. I'm sorry. I know it may be a little difficult to hear me with that in the background, so I do apologize for that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
If you hit *5, you can hit *6 to unmute his.
So if we hit *5, we mute everybody, and then *6 undoes it?
No, have the presenter hit *6, it will unmute his.
I'll give it a shot. I'll do *5, and you do *6 here in a second up there.
Okay.
The leader has muted your line. To unmute your line, press #6.
Okay, I believe I'm unmuted.
I don't know if we can hear them.
Okay. I don't think we'll be able to hear anybody.
So, somebody, if you can't hear us, I guess if you can hear us, can you send us a little tweet or a message in the chat there? And we see. Okay, you can hear us. All right, awesome. Okay, now you can hear better.
Sorry about that. And again, you can. This does have a fill in it now, and so that doesn't really show up your area. You would simply go in here and adjust the fill, so you can make it where there's no fill. Now you just have an outline. Pretty easy to do there. You can also change your outline weight. Obviously you may want it to be a little, have more weight to it so that you can actually see it on the screen. And then you maybe change it to an orange or something that is going to give more effect to whatever you're trying to present in this case. And then you can also add, a cool graphic, and I'm going to go back and grab the cold graphic that I have. That's something I'll show here in a minute as well. But here's one of the things you can do. You can just add the cold graphic in there, and now you've basically said, okay, this area is going to be chilly. You could add more in here, such as maybe you wanted to add, this same graphic that I had over here. You could simply do that as well. You could add any sort of graphic you want in here, and then you can also do arrows from these. And so that's the same thing. It's just in the drawing tools. There's several ways to get to it, but right up here at the top, you'll see there's an arrow, and you can draw an arrow from the box. You'll notice that the arrow doesn't really show up at all when you first do that, and they've got some nice pre-made ones in here that you could use. You could also make, you could also make these larger. Again, it's the same way. You can do with the previous part that I was showing you, with changing the weight of the actual arrow, and then also writing some text up. So this just kind of makes your graphic just have, people will be able to understand it a little better maybe than just putting up, say, the simple graphic that I showed before that's pretty plain. I think I've covered most of the things. One other thing that I did want to cover is to make this actually work, you're actually going to need to make this into a graphic that you can actually save. And so the way that you do that, in case some of you don't know, is you click within one of the graphics within the screen. If you do that, you'll want to hit Control-A. That will allow you to copy everything on the screen. And then once you do that, then you can right-click and you can save as a picture. So say we wanted to save this as, I don't know, Facebook post. We could call it whatever, whatever Facebook post you wanted to call it. Looks like it's taking a little while to come up, but say you wanted to, say this is a, low temperature Facebook post, so you could just save it however would make it easier for you to find that particular graphic that you made. So that's just one of the simple things that you can do, and just make the graphics pop out a little bit, and they're a little less boring, and people are just kind of like, okay, what's so special about this graphic? So I'll go over a little bit about what I talked about. One of the things that I mentioned was the F11, and that is in the F11 screen you can't really use the snipping tool. So you'll need to print screen, in the case we couldn't today, but that will allow you to get a larger extent. So that'll allow you to the screen. So it'd be easier for you to see. And again, talking again about the snipping tool, we do have, most of you should have that in the Windows 7. If you don't, ask your ESA to go ahead and put that in on your computer. And most people, that should be under the accessories, under all programs, accessories, and smart tools. All you have to do once you open this is just hit new, and that'll allow you to snip whatever. So maybe there's other graphics out there that you would want that aren't always easy to get. Maybe this would be a way that you can use the snipping tool to get that. Also, you'll want to you can control copy the screenshot and Control V into PowerPoint if you like using the shortcut keys. But once you actually do use the snipping tool, it automatically copies it for you. Also, another thing that I mentioned was using in the format picture. So if you do have a picture like we're using the low temperature graphic, you may want to up the contrast a little bit. That just really makes the colors come out really well. Another thing, this is just showing the contrast, the difference. You can see there's some pretty big differences when you actually use the contrast as opposed to not. It really just makes the graphic a little bit better, especially these kind of background graphics like satellite and things like that maybe, you notice the temperatures are not too big of a deal, but the satellite definitely looks a lot better. Also, another thing is you want to have a clear title. So in the case, I put low temperatures, and you can really start playing around and get some really cool 3D looks with the low temperatures. And that is just inserting a text box. It's really simple, stuff that we do all the time with PowerPoint. And another thing with clear titles, you can add, of course, shadow, and all that is just going in and formatting the shadow of either the text, you can shadow the text, of course, or you can shadow the shape. All those things will work. And sometimes we just kind of forget about this stuff. I've even used the glow, and sometimes that makes it come out, maybe if it's something important and kind of makes the graphic pop a little bit. And here's a graphic also done, and you can see you kind of made it 3D. We've got a nice title here. We've also got more of a legend. And once again, I think the contrast tool is probably used here as well. So it just really looks really nice. You can see the difference in the shadow, and that just really makes the graphic look really cool. You can also, of course, using the curve tool, and that's one of the things if you want to highlight a specific area that you would want to use that. You can also edit points in that area. And so that's another really cool thing. If you go in there and you right-click and you want to edit points, you can edit, and you can also add points. So say you wanted to move things to maybe the bottom wasn't exactly round where you wanted it to be or in the area you want it to be, you can add points and make it easier for that. Also, as I said, you want to make sure you use the Control-A there, get all of your elements on the screen, and then you can right-click and save as a picture. Also, one of the things that I've noticed a lot of offices doing is we've got these bars now, and I think that's a really cool idea. You can say, hey, it's from the NWS. You can also, if you're posting this to Facebook, you can kind of do a little bit of you can put your Twitter account there, so you can advertise that. And then you can also say when it's created, because I've noticed we'll have a lot of people like our Facebook post maybe from a day ago or so. So sometimes the data may actually be old. And so that allows them to see, okay, this is when the data was created, and also show, with the in particular with the data that you're displaying and showing what you were actually displaying. That can also help that too. Also, some other tips here, just one thing that you can do as well that we have done here is if you are asking for reports, maybe you make a slide up specifically for that, so people when they're running through their Facebook, they'll actually see this image and go, oh, the National Weather Service wants reports. And you can put some nifty graphics on there and just kind of make it to where people can get, oh, I can post pictures, all that kind of stuff. And you can also, of course, advertise your Facebook and your Twitter there as well, too. Also, I was talking about the icons earlier, too. You can add these icons, and I think that's a way that, people kind of get drawn in, and you can add, whatever it is, whether it's maybe it's going to be cold like we used a minute ago, or maybe you're going to have more of a, up here we have more snow and even mixture of precipitation. That makes it easy to be able to fog and smoke. You also have a lot of lines. These are all pre-made graphics that you can insert right into what you're making. So this is really nice to just quickly insert. You can have these, I think this will be available to you, and so you'll be able to take those icons. A lot of offices probably already have these kind of pre-made icons showing warmer temperatures or even maybe precipitation, like on the green arrows. Also, some frontal, you can set up fronts and boundaries on your screen, show where low pressures are, making it easier for people to read these graphics that we're posting up. So now, without further ado, I'm going to allow Todd to come in here and do a demo on making animation.
All right, only a couple minutes left. Okay, so when do you make an animation? One of the things that you look at is how many graphics are you posting. If you've got more than about 2 or 3, you may, instead of collaging them together, you may want to make a little animation. For example, which I'll show in a minute, I'll do a webcam loop, or maybe the high temperatures Monday through Friday. That would be pretty darn noisy if you put that all in one picture. So maybe make a quick little animation. And to do that, you can use Windows Movie Maker. And this should be on your computer. If not, ask your ESA to install it, because we are allowed to have this software, and it's free. I know there's a lot of different movie softwares out there, but this is a very basic one, and it comes with Windows, and we're allowed to have it, so that's good. So now I'm going to do a little demo. I got Windows Movie Maker already open here. So the first step, what you need to do after you've saved off your images from wherever is right here on the right, you click here to browse for videos and photos. So I'm going to click that button, and I happen to have already gotten a series of webcam images from Acadia National Park. We have a program called Hunter Gatherer. It's a kind of a webcam archiving program, and it saves off all these images. So I grabbed some from yesterday. So I'm just going to go ahead and select all these. I'll just left-click, shift, left-click again. That selects all of them. And I'm going to open them, and they pop right into the right side of Windows Movie Maker, as you can see here. Now, one of the things that you really want is for them to obviously be in order. Sometimes when they come in, they aren't in order. In this case, they were, because if I mouse over, you see each of these has a timestamp. So it knew to put these in the right order. But you definitely want to make sure to put them in the right order if they aren't already. To do that, you could just left-click and drag one of the images. Like if this was need to be last, I could just left-click it and drag it down here. One little trick I've noticed, it's kind of funny. If you have like Windows Explorer open and you drag the images into Movie Maker, a lot of times it'll put them out of order. But if you open it the way that I just did by clicking on the right side and then open the images, it'll open them in order. So it's kind of funny. But you want your files to be a name that you know the order and you aren't fumbling around too much. But I know these are in order, chronological order. So now the next thing that you want to do is add, well, how about adding a title at the beginning? I mean, what the heck is this? So I'm going to put my mouse right before the first webcam image. So see this little black line, that's where you are. And then I just hit the title button right here at the top. And then I can insert some text here. So I don't know, I'll call this, obviously I don't want to call it My Movie, that's silly. I'll call it Acadia Thunderstorm. And I think this is from like 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday. Or I might want to say it's a webcam loop from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday. You could do whatever with this. You can change the background color of the title slide, like maybe, I don't know, I want it orange for Thunderstorm. And the text is still there. I know it disappears, but it's still there. You can change how the intro title looks. Like if the default it comes up with, I'll play it, you see it kind of fades. I don't know if you can see this, but it kind of fades in the text. Or you can choose one of these mini, where was it? One of these mini, oh yeah, here it is. Okay, one of these mini options here to, oops, I'm messing it up here. Okay, where did they go? Oh, here it is. Over in the format thing, you can choose one of these mini options to fade in the intro slide, like maybe I want to use this cinematic fade in. Ooh, that's really neat. Okay, so now another thing is you'll notice if you go in the format area that the duration of this slide is 7 seconds. That's way too long. People are going to be gone by the time that slide finishes. So one thing you definitely want to do is work with the slide durations in here. So I want the title slide to maybe just last, let's say, 2 seconds, so I will change this to 2. And then all the other slides, if I go to the edit thing, you can see all the other slides are 7 seconds, and that's definitely way too long also. So I can just left-click, shift, left-click again, that selects all these slides, and then I'll make all of these slides, I don't know, maybe 1 second. So then you play that, and there's your title slide, Acadia Thunderstorm. Oh, that was maybe a little fast. And then it goes into the loop, and you can see the webcam loop with the thunderstorm moving into Acadia National Park. And there it is. So there's a bunch of other things you can do with Windows Movie Maker. It's pretty simple. I mean, this is just a very, very basic stuff. But you can save it. You go back to the home thing, hit Save Movie. For Facebook, it does not matter which of these two formats you save it as. It likes them both. And these files aren't too large, so it doesn't take that long to upload, even with our slow internet connection. So either of these two file types, give it a title and set edit it and edit the title there. Because Facebook will come up with its own title, something like Friday, January 15th. It'll come up with a title that's just the time you posted it. So you also want to edit the title on Facebook after the video post. Say edit, and then change the title to something that makes sense, so that hopefully the public will be drawn into the animation. So that's the basics of making an animation. This is a webcam loop. You could have done temperature, anything. And the basic idea is if it's something that's, going to be more than 2 or 3 different images, probably make a loop out of it rather than doing a big old busy collage. And then in the presentation, I just have a recap of kind of some of the things that I did. Just some of the steps that I did in case you couldn't remember. You need to go back after the fact and review it to do it yourself. But it's all in here. And then that is the end. And also just on the last slide here, I just put a couple of other websites
The leader has unmuted your line.
that have graphics that are near ready for social media. But the EDD is always the best one, I think, to use first. And then here's just a couple other websites with graphics that are ready for social media. And I guess that's it, and I'll take questions if you all can still hear me. It said a second ago that it muted our line.
Oh, yeah,
so how do I get it back to everybody?
This is Corey. I think I may have unmuted everybody.
Oh, okay, yeah, that must be what you did. I hear you, so I guess.
Great.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so that's it. Any questions out there? I saw the Twitter feed for NWS Think Social was pretty busy. Let's see.
I think you guys had a couple of questions on the GoTo webinar. There's a little window called questions, maybe 2 or 3 over there.
Let's see. We have a window called questions in GoTo webinar.
Corey, I think you only see the questions.
Okay, let me relay a couple of them to you guys and see if you can answer them. One of the questions was how you made the temperatures larger in the EDD display. Or how can you?
Oh, making the temperatures larger. Oh, good point. I'm not so sure as far as the. I think you're talking about the. See if I can get back to. Let me do that. Oh, there we go. To get back to the EDD, I don't think there's an option for these points at this point in time to make them larger. I believe that's what the question is. But if you do go to the layer manager, yeah, there's not an option at this point to actually make the NDFD minimums larger. Now, there are options for some of the more layered sections, but there's not an option to make those points larger that I know of in the gridded forecast database part. You can just either show the options or not show, or show the points rather, or not show the points. So, but that's something I can mention to them down in Charleston.
The only other question I saw on the list before maybe someone else has some verbally is another one from Mike Altenweller. He was asking about screen capture. I think that may have been answered with the clipping, but I don't know if you had a follow-up on that, Mike, or not.
Nope, they got it. Thank you.
I was just glancing at the Twitter, the NWS Think Social hashtag. It says somebody's asking, can animations be posted to YouTube as well? And I'm not the one to answer that since we don't have YouTube in Eastern Region, so can somebody answer that?
Well, I know this is Corey. I've used a tool here that can convert the animated GIF into a video file. The GIF, if it's an animated GIF itself, it won't work, but there's a few tools out there that you can use to convert it to a video format that will work to upload to YouTube.
And I guess Tim asked, can anyone find the location of where to get the hunter-gatherer program? I think it's a WDTV program, if I'm not mistaken, if that helps. But we've had it for so long here in Caribou, I'm not sure. Does anybody out there know? I
couldn't find it real quick.
Yeah, I think a tweeter found it, though. They posted a link, and you're right, it's from the WDTV group. If you just do a search for hunter-gatherer and WDTV, it should be your first result on Google. Yeah,
it is a great situational awareness program. We have a whole bunch of our webcams throughout the area just looping through. It'll loop one webcam for, a little bit and then go to the next webcam and the next webcam. So, yeah, we have it up on our situational awareness screen, and it archives all the images as well. So it's a really nice program to have.
Another thing that you can do as well with the EDD is webcam. So that is another option, and Todd's pulling it up on the screen. It won't, obviously you don't get the archive or loop, but that is an option in the EDD. Also, if you need ideas of some of your webcams that may be available.
Yeah, this isn't all of them, but it's some, and some of them will be radically off in location, but it is a start. It is fun to just go around the country looking at webcam images from everywhere. Let me know if I've missed any questions from Twitter. I'm still looking through. There was a lot going on during it.
I didn't see any other.
Hey, Todd.
Yes.
Todd, and using EDD as a source for some really good graphics. Let me plug something that Southern region is doing. They've got this experimental, what they're calling hydrologic decision support page. Very similar, somewhat on the order of what EDD provides. Another great source, and this is a really good source for good hydrology type graphical information.
Okay. You want me to bring it up here, or is the URL pretty easy, or should I do a Google search?
I think if you just go to West Gulf.
I just put it in the window. You can grab it out of that window.
Okay, let's see. Oh, what window did you put it in?
I just put it in the GoToWebinar window.
We must not see that.
You see it?
Does Corey see it?
No, I don't see it either. Yeah, Todd, though, it's www.srh.noaa.gov /RFCEXP. And I happen to be one of the people that helped develop it. I'm on the team, but it's sort of a four-man EDD, really. I think the EDD is a much superior product, but a lot of the data that the EDD uses, and of course this page uses as well, come from the Ridge 2 infrastructure. So we're doing a lot more work on our back end than we are on the front end, but it's certainly another option out there.
Yep, I hadn't seen this. Thanks for pointing it out.
All right, any other questions for our presenters?
Oh, so I noticed somebody asked, this is a good question. So isn't this EDD website supposed to be internal? Should we not be tweeting the link out? It is. Dustin's going to answer that.
There's two different versions of the website. So there is a preview version, and we did show another version of the website, which is a developmental version. That is an internal. We don't want to be tweeting that out, but the actual EDD preview .weather.gov/EDD, they actually have a Facebook page and everything, so it is out there. It's known about.
Yeah. So on the slide right here, the first of those two links, the preview.weather.gov/EDD, that's the public one, and the second one, the dev, etc., that's the developmental one. That's the one that we shouldn't share with the public. And also, Dustin didn't mention this, but one of the functions of the EDD is there is actually a share button at the bottom, and if you hit share, it'll create a short URL with the same layers that you actually had up. So that's something, if you're using the preview.weather.gov EDD, that you can also share with your social media fans, so they can see the same layers that you were seeing.
Hey guys.
Yep.
I was wondering, what is the significant difference between those two links? Does one do something the other one doesn't?
Well, the development version, if they change things or they add new layers to the product, one of the things specifically that we had added to the product for us was the I'm trying to think. Let me pull it up here real quick just so that I can remember what I was. Maybe we don't have it up still. But anyway, if you add layers and those types of things to the product, those wouldn't be available until they do another release to the actual public version of the website. And so if there is something that they are working on or those types of things, you can check out the development site. Right now, I would say there's probably little difference because they just released the 3.0 version of the EDD.
Okay, thank you.
And also, I should mention that Dustin's been working, a lot with the developer. When we see something, we'll let him know, and he'll fix it. But he's Jonathan Wolf. He's been really great, really responsive to feedback. Just thought I'd throw that out there. So if you see something that's maybe not working, let him know, and he'll do his best.
All right, any other questions for the presenters? All right, well, not hearing a fantastic presentation, guys. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you all very much for signing in and asking some great questions.
Thanks.
Thanks, bye.